Are you considering selling your home and buying another one? Maybe you're feeling cramped and you need more space for a growing family, or the opposite is true and you're looking to downsize. Whatever the reason, it's important that you're well informed to what the process entails so you can make the best decisions for your family. Let's dive into step one, the list. Now, I'm going to assume that you've thought about what features you would like to have in your new home. If not, start by making a list of your needs. Maybe it's a larger yard, a certain number of bedrooms or bathrooms, or an approximate square footage that you need your home to be. Next, you're going to want a list of wants, such as extra living spaces, maybe a little bit more in the garage, or if you're looking at resale, how updated you would like the home to be. Now, you also want to consider the area that you're looking in. Is there a specific neighborhood that you want to live in? Do you want to be near certain schools, or would you like to be within a 30-minute drive to work? Are you looking for something that has a lot of nearby amenities, such as restaurants or shopping? Or maybe you work from home, so the suburbs are more attractive to you, and you don't mind a short drive for a lower price point. Also, consider how your needs may change in the future. If you have one child and are considering growing your family, plan for some extra space so you aren't needing to move every few years. The more specific your list, the better, because this narrows down the list of potential homes to see. For step two, you'll want to spend some time finding a good real estate agent that can be a trusted advisor to guide you through the process. The biggest concern that most people have about selling their home and buying a new one is all about timing. The process can be really complex and needs to be timed just right to keep costs manageable. A great real estate agent can help you go through the process with confidence through the ups and downs that you may eventually encounter. Step three, determine how much home you can afford. While it's nice to dream and think about the biggest and nicest house you could technically buy, you also need to slow down and really crunch the numbers before making a decision. How much home you can afford should not be determined by the maximum amount of financing you can get. You should never live house poor, which means that your income is just barely enough to make your mortgage payments. You would have a hard time saving money for retirement, going on vacations, and so on. Getting those comforts back would mean finding a way to significantly increase your household income. A good rule of thumb is the 28-36 rule, which is a rule that most mortgage lenders and other creditors use to determine a borrower's debt repayment capacity. This rule states that a household should spend no more than 28% on their mortgage payment and a maximum of 36% on all outstanding debt. For example, if your household monthly income is $20,000, that means that your mortgage payment should be no more than $5,600, and all of your outstanding debt payments should be no more than $7,200. Now, when you talk to your lender, it's very important to get two numbers: how much you could qualify for without selling your house and how much you could qualify for with selling your house. Whether you plan to sell your home, either way, it's important to get both numbers because we are about to dive into one of my favorite ways to sell your house and buy another one. Ready? It's called recasting. This is the way my husband and I purchased the home that we currently live in. Now, it's fairly common knowledge that the more contingencies there are in an offer, the less the seller will like it. And so this is one of my favorite ways because it removes the home sale contingency entirely. Knowing how much home you can afford without selling your home helps you take a look at the home search in a whole new way. Are there homes at this price point that you can purchase and be happy with? Now, I know what you may be thinking. You just told me not to buy a house at the top of what I would qualify for because it's unaffordable. So now I have an unaffordable mortgage payment on my new house. As well, I have two mortgage payments right now. So this whole situation is looking really unaffordable. Well, this can be one of the beautiful things about timing. When you close on your new home, you can have 30 days or more before you have to make your first mortgage payment. How does that work? Well, mortgage payments are made in arrears, which means that you're paying your principal as well as any interest for the month behind. So if you close on your home in the middle of the month, your first mortgage payment isn't going to be due until the second consecutive month. For example, if you closed on your home on February 18th, this means that your first mortgage payment would not be due March 1st. it would be due April 1st. On top of that, most loans also have a grace period, which is a certain amount of days that you can make a payment after the first of the month without incurring any additional fees. For example, I could wait to pay my mortgage all the way till the 15th of the month because my lender is not going to start charging me late fees until the 16th. You need to take a look at your mortgage documents or talk to your loan servicer to find out what your grace period is. So, what are you going to do with all the extra time? Well, in the meantime, you're still moving forward with getting your home ready for sale. Work with your real estate agent to get an analysis for how much your home could sell for and be on the conservative side to be safe. Study the market and find out how long on average it takes for homes that are similar to yours to go under contract. Then you want to add another 30 days on top of that, since the standard closing time in Arizona is about 30 days. You'll want to compare the amount of time that it takes to not only close on your new home, but pay your first mortgage payment. This gives you a window so you are not making two mortgage payments at once. So great, you say, I've sold my home, I don't have two mortgage payments, but the mortgage payment on my new home is a lot higher than I'd like it to be because instead of having a good down payment, all of my equity was tied up in my old home. Well, this is where recasting is so amazing. A recast lets you put down a large lump sum payment on your existing loan, and the payments are automatically re-amortized as if that was your starting down payment all along. So let's say you put down 10% instead of 20%, or maybe you went with as little as a 5% down payment. Now, when you sell your home, you have that extra equity to put down and recast those loan payments lower. If the amount of equity that you have in your new home is 20% or more, you can also ask your loan servicer to remove the private mortgage insurance, which further lowers your monthly payments. A great thing about recasting is it's actually different from a refinance. In a refinance, you basically have to reclose on your loan all over again, which has you repaying those same closing costs to your lender that you just paid, even if they're rolled into your loan amount. With recasting, there's no charge. Now, with a recast, there can be limitations on how often you can do this, as well as the minimum amount of money that you would need to put down in order to recast it. So it's really important to talk to your lender to find out all of the details. It can be very tricky with the timing, but overall, this is my favorite way to sell your house and buy another one. Now, maybe after talking with your lender and working with your realtor, you find that you don't like the homes that you can buy at your lower qualification amount. That's okay. And you can still move forward with the process by selling your home first. Step 3, getting your home ready for sale. Declutter your home and have all of the interior professionally cleaned. Do those handyman items that you've been putting off, as well as if there's any outstanding repairs, get them fixed as soon as possible. Work with your real estate agent or a professional home stager in order to get your home ready for the listing photos. Your agent should be scheduling a professional photographer as well as possibly a videographer to come so that all of your marketing can be ready to go before you hit the market. During this time, you also want to work with your real estate agent so you can have a pricing strategy in place, as well as know about how long it would take to sell your current home. Now it's time for step 4, the offer strategy. At this point, when you find a home you want to buy, you are going to need to write a contingent offer, which means that your offer is conditional upon the sale of your home. This protects you in case the sale of your home falls through for whatever reason. And while this is a good way to protect your own interests, said clause can actually keep a seller from accepting your offer. Depending on the market, you could easily lose out to another buyer, or you would need to offer more money and consider making adjustments to some of the other contingencies in the contract just to have your offer accepted. Now, there are 3 scenarios that go along with a contingent offer. The very first one is not quite worth the paper it's written on. In this scenario, your house is not ready for the market, but you're still trying to buy another house. A good seller's agent would take a look, laugh, and tell their clients to move on with the next buyer. At a minimum, you want scenario 2, where your house is on the market, you're actively looking for a buyer, but you just don't quite have one yet. Fun fact, even if you get a contingency like this accepted for your new home, in Arizona, this is one of the few ways that a seller can cancel the contract. How this works is if a seller has a contract with someone whose home has not sold yet, and they get another offer from another buyer, they can go back to that first buyer and say, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I need you to show me that you can buy my house without selling your current one. Well, if Mr. and Mrs. Buyer can't do that, the seller can say, I'm going to cancel the contract and I'm going to move forward with the second buyer. Now, I've actually done this on the buyer side, and I helped my buyers get the home that they really wanted by kicking out the first set of buyers. That's why it's so important to work with an agent who knows the contract inside and out and can advise you. The final version of a home sale contingency is going to be the one that's most attractive to the home seller, which is your home is already under contract and you're just waiting for it to close. The further along you are in your home sale transaction, the better. So if you've already passed the inspection contingencies, the appraisal contingencies, now I'm sort of skipping over the financing contingency because in Arizona, it goes all the way up to 3 days prior to close of escrow. But you get my meaning. The further along you are, the better it is because at that point, there are less problems with your current home sale. However, even with that, you may still need to write a stronger offer. Even if you've cleared most, if not all, of your contingencies on your current home, it can still be a pretty big unknown to a seller. Step 5, closing and moving. Now, it is possible to do what's called a simultaneous close, which means both homes are closing on the exact same day. There can be some problems with this, but typically if there's only 2 homes that are trying to close on the same day with the same title company, it's not an issue. Where it can run into problems is if there are multiple home sale contingencies, and then it can just turn into a domino effect. I haven't seen this for the last few years, but going back further than that, when we were in a more balanced market instead of a seller's market, this did happen. Now, if you're moving here from another state and the title company that you are selling your home with is different than the one you're purchasing with, you'll need to schedule the closing for 2 consecutive days. Once it has to move title companies, the money does take some additional time to get there as well as those funds to be verified. But if you're with the same title company, you're closing on the same day, the escrow officer will just move the home sale funds from one of their escrow accounts to another of their escrow accounts before dispersing any remaining funds that may be left over from your home sale. Now, even with a simultaneous close, you may want to consider temporary housing, even if it's just for a day or 2. The reason for this is because our day of closing belongs to the buyer, which means that the seller needs to be out the day before. You also need to make a plan for your possessions. Are you going to keep them in a storage facility, at a friend's house, or would you negotiate with your moving company so it could store your items for some time? Now, I know what you may be thinking because I get asked this next question a lot. Why would I need to consider temporary housing when I own the house I'm currently in and I'm moving into a new one? Why can't I just ask my buyer to let me stay a little bit longer or start moving my stuff into my new home before we close? And I'm here to tell you as a real estate agent, don't do it. What you're talking about is called a pre or a post possession. And there's a reason why it comes with additional disclosures. And it's not because real estate agents love paperwork. It seems like a great idea on the surface, but when it goes wrong, man, does it go wrong. You're no longer in the world of buying and selling. You're in the world of landlords and tenants, which comes with its own set of laws, rules, and protections. Now, is it possible? Yes, it's possible. But there's a reason that you're going to be told to consult with the appropriate financial, legal, accounting, and insurance advisors before moving forward with this option. Certain loans may require the buyers for your home to move in within a certain time frame. Now, what happens if there's a fine from the homeowners association? Typically, it's the occupant that's responsible for the violation, but the owner of the home is going to be the one who gets the bill. What about insurance? Your standard homeowner's policy does not cover renters. So the owner of the home needs to add on a landlord rider, and the occupant needs to look into getting renter's insurance to protect their belongings. What about the tax implications of rental income? What if you start to move into the new house and your house doesn't close on time? Then don't even get me started on repairs and who's supposed to fix them. Right before closing, we've had ACs and hot water heaters go out, and one of the most memorable was the ice maker supply line shutoff valve failed and sprayed water all over the kitchen. What's going to happen then? All of this goes to say that if you can skip this entirely, do it. You may be saving yourself a big headache and a lot of stress if you just made plans for temporary housing from the beginning. So here's the bottom line. Figuring out how to sell your house and buy another one can be complicated, but you don't need to figure it out alone. A good experienced realtor can take a look at your personal situation and give you advice and solutions so you can make your decisions with confidence. For next steps, the YouTube algorithm thinks that you'd like to watch this next video, or if you're ready to sell your house and buy another one right now, reach out to me using one of the links below in the description box.